Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News. My next guest is coming off of a big win this past weekend at UFC Vegas 71. It's Brady Hiestand. How's it going, Brady?
Dude, living the dream. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. We talked a little bit before about how you're in Las Vegas still. What are you up to? What have you been doing this week?
Yeah, so my birthday's this week. I'm turning 24, so I decided to stay back and enjoy some food, feed my inner fat kid after cutting for 2 months. And so we're just out here enjoying it. We're actually flying home tomorrow morning, so this is my last day. But I'm going to go drive, see the Grand Canyon, and then right back to work.
That is awesome, man. Well, hey, obviously we got to talk about your big win this past weekend. A really exciting fight, come from behind win. A lot of people would say initial thoughts after your performance, a few days removed from the fight. How do you reflect on how things played out?
It's not the most ideal fight. When they say comeback win, that means you're losing. So that's not the most ideal thing. But I showed that I'm in the fight no matter what, and I got that dog in me. So no matter what, I'm gonna be there every second of the fight, and you better be ready because I could get a finish at any moment.
Is it almost a confidence booster, though, in terms of, being able to find yourself in those deep waters and be able to come out of it and still get that late finish in a fight?
Yeah, well, that's something I kind of already knew about myself because no matter what, I'm not gonna quit in that cage. No matter what, I'm not gonna get tired because I have great cardio, I got great conditioning. So in some ways, especially in the gym, I'm a third round fighter. So in the third round, I come out the hottest and I come out the hardest. Um, but in that fight, I didn't think that. I thought I won the first round. Obviously I lost the second. Get beat up on bottom for a little bit. So going into that third, me and my corner thought that it was 1-1. And so, I mean, that just shows I'm always looking for the finish. Even when I think I have the fight in the bag, I'm still going to go for that finish. But yeah, I was a little surprised looking at the judges' scorecard at the end of it, but it is what it is.
One thing that was really interesting about the fight is your opponent seemed to really be defending the chokes really well in those submission attempts. I guess, was that kind of surprising to you at all in terms of how he was able to break his way out of those chokes?
I knew he was probably going to be working on that because that's just such a big part of my game is the submission threat. But he was training with a great camp. He was over there at Cejudo's Fight Ready gym, training with Cejudo himself. So I anticipated they were going to have a few answers to my attacks, and he did, and he had a really good back defense. That was, I think, the most surprising. Is once I got to his back, he was very good at defending my body triangle and peeling it off, and then that's how I ended up falling off the top in that second. But no, nothing too surprising. I knew he was going to be ready for this fight, and I was too. So it was pretty cool to see.
Where are some of the areas that you feel like you've grown the most since the Ricky Turcios fight in the finale of The Ultimate Fighter? Like, where do you feel like you've grown in terms of physically, mentally, emotionally as a fighter?
I think all around I've grown. My grappling I think is always been world class since the show. But I think some things that have grown a lot is my striking. I think I'm way more dynamic on the feet. I set things up better. Obviously, I was landing. This guy is known as an elite striker, and I was landing head kicks on him. I was landing overhand rights in that third round. So I think my striking's in my game has come the farthest. Another thing, I think my conditioning and then my mental, preparation has, even more than my striking. I talk with my buddy Jeff, who's a psychologist, and he does a lot of sports psychology, and I talk to him every week, and we just go over different things for my training and for the fight, and that's been huge for me these last couple years. And then I work with my strength conditioning coach and the strength conditioning coach at the PI, Becky, and then my strength conditioning coach back home, Dylan Lemery, and we put in work 3 times a week consistently, inside and outside of camp. And so I think people have mentioned it, like my body's different. Like it's easier for me to make weight, even though I look bigger and I'm more shredded. I guess I'm like more lean. It's making it easier to cut weight, but it's also making my fights way easier because I'm in way better condition. I'm able to go 3 rounds and still be bouncing around, screaming at everybody at the end of it. So yeah, I think I've grown in so many different areas. It's hard to say, but definitely feel like I'm a completely different fighter than when I fought Ricky Turcios.
Do you feel like your striking kind of gets overlooked in a lot of ways? Because I feel like even going back to your time on The Ultimate Fighter, you were kind of looked at it as a really solid grappler, but there really wasn't really a lot of talk about your striking. Do you feel like that part of your game kind of gets overlooked a little bit?
100%. And I can see why on Ultimate Fighter, I would just beat everyone in grappling. And then, in the Josh fight, I got pieced up a little bit on the feet. So I was like, okay, I can see that. But I think now people are overlooking it, but not realizing that I outlanded Danaa 2-1 in that first round. And I was landing head kicks on Fernie. I had him on skates a couple times in that fight. And so it's just one of those things people don't want to see because I'm such a good grappler. They don't want to give me credit for my striking as well. But I guess they'll have to feel it in every one of my fights.
After the fight, you called out Christian Rodriguez. Obviously, you've talked a lot about that, and the fight kind of sells itself. It's a great matchup, but I kind of want to ask you, it kind of switch gears a little bit here in terms of, another guy that's really young in the division is obviously Raul Rosas Jr. He's coming off of his first career loss. And as somebody like you that has really bounced back in a big way since that loss to Tercios, like, what advice would you give him in terms of being able to bounce back and pick yourself up, especially after a disappointing defeat?
Even though he lost that fight, he had a lot of good things in that fight. His first round, he dominated. He almost even finished Christian Rodriguez. He had the rear naked choke wrapped up and everything. I think one of the main things is he has to just go back. I don't think it was much of his skills because I think his game plan was working. I think it was just more of him getting excited and gassing out. He just went too hard in that first round and just got too excited, which I can relate because I did that a little bit in my first fight in the Ultimate Fighter with Josh. And that's where I was so close of a fight. Luckily, I came out with the win. But yeah, he just needs to go back and he just needs to keep grinding. He's so young that him being at this elite level and still performing great, he just needs to put the time in and build that confidence back up. But, I see him at the top of the division with me here soon. I see us both climbing together. One day I think we're going to fight. Who knows if it's for the title or top 5 spot or something like that. But yeah, I got a lot of respect for the kid. I think he's going to do great things, but I think he just needs to go back, grind, and just get that confidence back.
Couple more questions for me, man. Once again, I really do appreciate the time. I know you've been enjoying your vacation this week with your birthday coming up. I got to ask you, obviously, we got a big Vancouver card at UFC 289, pretty close to where you train at in Spokane. I guess, are you looking to make that quick turnaround at UFC 289 or what's kind of the plan with that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I said that in my post-fight interview. I'd love to be on the Vancouver card. Like you said, it's really close to home, right at backyard. I can have all the people that support me from Spokane fly out. I can have my friends, family, people that I don't even talk to, but that just want to come and see me fight. They'll make the drive. Also my girl, Julianna Pena, she's been a huge influence in my career, and she's going to be the main event. So it'd be awesome to fight on the same card as her. We have the same coach. So that would be really cool. And yeah, I'm trying to fight. I'm trying to stay active this year. I took a 5-month break from the Ferdy fight, and I don't want to be sitting that long. I'm ready to get in there and get some fights going.
What's kind of like the biggest thing you've learned from Julianna Pena? Obviously, she's been through ups and downs in her career, and then she's pulled off that massive upset, UFC 269. I guess what are some of the biggest things you've learned from her just watching from afar?
The couple things. Two of the biggest things that I've learned from Julianna Pena is she has the best work ethic. She is a grinder. She's never going to miss a training session, and she's never going to half-ass a training session. No matter what, when she's training 100%. And she's committed. So in camp, she doesn't do anything except for train, recover, sleep, eat. That's it. And so that's the first thing. And the second thing is her mentality. She is mentally the toughest chick I've ever met. Besides my mom, because my mom's just as crazy and just as tough. But yeah, so her mentality is huge, especially when I was going into the house. I was like talking to her and she's like talking about how she's like, you don't care about no one. You're there for yourself. You got to focus on the fight and you got to focus on winning and make sure that you do everything you can to win. This isn't a vacation. This is for your life, And so that was huge. And I take that into every one of my fight camps now.
Before we wrap things up here, I'll give it the final word to shout out your team if you want. Shout out any sponsors you're working with, fans, all that good stuff. I'll give it the final word.
Yeah, shout out to my team back home, my family and my team. They've been supporting me since I was 16 when I started this journey. So Sick Jitsu family and the Hiestand family, I appreciate you guys so much. A big shout out to my sponsor, Eggers Meat. They've been with me since I was, 16 as well. So they're the biggest sponsor I have, and they've been with me the longest. So I appreciate you guys.
That's what's up, man. Well, it's always good to speak with a fellow Washingtonian. It was great to meet you, great to chat with you, and I'm all the best with these next few days, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much, brother.